Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the Redmen podcast. Today I'm joined by Ste and by Ross Chanley for this one. Loads to discuss today. Obviously you saw a beautiful thumbnail there of Anfield under the lights, Champions League logo, and I think that's what everyone's sort of excited to see and talk about today. We will be talking about AC Milan as well, of course. We'll be talking about Salah entering the 100 club, Harvey, Elliott, and looking ahead at the next 6 fixtures for Liverpool and their title rivals. But before we get into it, I do have a kick-off question, and it comes from Curtis Beggs on Twitter. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question regardless. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Of course, we'll read out some of the best ones, i.e. the ones that agree with us. You have a choice between the guaranteed signing of Kylian Mbappe or Jurgen Klopp agreeing a 5-year extension on his current deal. Whatever you pick means the other will never happen. Which one do you choose, Mr. Ste?
It's Klopp for me. It's a no-brainer. I mean, listen, I'm obviously a huge Mbappe fan. He'd be amazing if Mbappe signed for Liverpool. I'd like Mbappe to sign for Klopp. But yeah, give me 5 years of Jurgen Klopp and let him do a rebuild, because it's coming soon. It's not yet. It's probably a year or two left in this team, and then there's one coming. And I can't think of anyone better to do it than him. I think that's the hardest thing in management, is the rebuild of a top team. It's what made Ferguson just the best.
He did 3 or 4 of them, didn't he?
Yeah, probably more. You know, and that's really hard. Lots of people have failed at it. Even the greatest managers, Arsene Wenger failed it. He did it once, 1.5 times maybe, and then that was him. Jose Mourinho couldn't do it at Chelsea. He had his team, and that was it. It was gone. Pep Guardiola, he hasn't had to do it yet. He's coming up to Jurgen Klopp's point where he's probably going to have to do it. It's really tough. So I can't think of another person I want to take Liverpool into the next 5 years than Jurgen. So reluctantly, as much as I'd love to have Kylian Mbappe up front for Liverpool, I'll stick.
And there's always other strikers out there as well, isn't there?
Erling Haaland.
Exactly.
Get Erling Haaland.
Absolutely sad. You know, I mean, get Jurgen in, get Haaland. I mean, Ross, why is the right answer Kylian Mbappe?
It's not. it's just not. It's it. I would say the same as Ste. I'd absolutely love Kylian Mbappe, but if you're going to twist my arm, I'd take Jurgen Klopp and Haaland if you're asking. But for all the reasons that Ste said there, I think you just said it there. I think it's easier to go and take that lightly another striker than it is to replace Jurgen Klopp. What's going to be harder? And
I mean, let's be honest. And Billa LFC says that you can produce an Mbappe type player, Jurgen, and that's it, isn't it? What we've seen, and me and Paul were having a discussion a couple of weeks ago, is about like £40 million players. Well, we've seen Jota been brought in for 40. We brought Mo Salah in for less than 40. We brought Sadio Mane in for less than 40. It's true. We brought them all our front three, and Firmino all cost less than 40 million. Or there or thereabouts with Jota, you know, and we've got at least £150 million player in Mo Salah there. Mane's probably not far off 100 million. Firmino obviously increased his weight. Jota, 60, 70, 80 million pound player now. Jurgen can do that with players each and every time he takes them on.
Yeah, and it's not even just the players and the team we build, it's the ethos and what he's done to this club, and the relationship between us as fans and what he's done. Like I fear that when he goes. There was someone on was it a show we did on Monday, and someone kept asking, it was a watch along that we were doing the other day, and someone kept asking the question, I think it was Trig Josh actually, you know, what when Klopp goes, and every time I hear that, my stomach just goes like sick, because I don't want that to happen. Whereas if we missed out on Mbappe, I don't have that same feeling. Like, I'd love him, he's a world-class player, and I'm sure we'll have the conversation of what happens with Salah's contract in a couple of weeks. You know, does he need replacing? Do we need another global superstar on the team? I think that's a separate conversation, but for me, I just don't think you can replace Jurgen Klopp.
Did anyone watch Monday Night Football last night? Did you see the Gary Neville and the Jamie Carragher thing about the greatest player of all time?
Yeah, that's the best.
Where did you fall down on that, Steve?
I think Leo Messi is the best player of all time. I think what I don't get is, I don't think it's mental when people say Ronaldo. Like, you'll get people who are on one side of the fence or the other, and they are incredulous at the other one. I can't believe you're saying Cristiano Ronaldo isn't the best over Messi. I'll always go Messi. I think he's the best player I've ever seen. I actually think there is a bit of a gap, but like, Cristiano Ronaldo's not crap, is he? You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I think the whole debate, and it'll happen again. It'll be soon. It'll be Mbappe and Haaland, and that's coming in 5 years' time. It's who's better.
Well, matter when they both play for Liverpool, though.
Yeah, Haaland when he's up front for the Reds. That's the answer. But like, great players are great players, and that's kind of where I'm at with Ross said before, is that I can't think of listen, top managers would want to come to Liverpool. If Jurgen left tomorrow, there'd be a queue of them. Don't get me wrong, but none of him. There's no one. There's not him. Whereas Mbappe, it doesn't come, like you say, Haaland's the one who just springs to mind. But there are other world-class forwards and world-class strikers. I think, like, Steven Gerrard's going to be our next manager. So it's basically, do you want Gerrard and Mbappe, or do you want Klopp and to carry on? And so for me, that's why I'm saying.
I think it's easy as well. I agree with you, lads. I think it's Jurgen all day, every day. I think I would never preference a player over a manager anyway. The players are important, obviously, but you get the manager right and you get the players right off the back of it. You can have great players and not a good manager, and you still might not win the league. And that's kind of what it boils down.
Would you rather have kept Luis Suarez or Brendan Rodgers?
Luis Suarez, because I didn't think Brendan Rodgers was a great manager.
Okay.
But if the choice was between a great manager and a great player, I'd always probably go the great manager, because you kind of trust them to be able to do their job. Okay, so we've got a big Champions League game, but before we dive into Liverpool versus AC Milan, take a little look. We've not got loads of these books left, so you need to get one for Christmas or a present for somebody or something. I know it's early. I can't believe I just said it myself, to be perfectly honest with you. Now is the time. Check out our Jordan Henderson 10 Years of Red bookazine right now.
Hello everyone, we have just released a fresh batch of author-signed editions of Hendo 10 Years of Red, our limited edition commemorative Jordan Henderson book. The first two runs of those sold out pretty quickly, so we decided to do one more batch, but make sure you get them quick because they are flying out the doors at the moment. A perfect gift for a Liverpool fan in your life, or just treat yourself. Their book is incredible. We're very, very proud of it. Incredible cover artwork and interior artwork by Yoni Weisberg, some of the best artists as well on the Liverpool scene, have all contributed great Jordan Henderson unique pieces to it. There's in-depth articles, features, memories, photos, and a hell of a lot more as well. Get your Jordan Henderson 10 Years of Red book right now at redmenmerch.com. Cheers.
Yeah, so get that at redmenmerch.com. As I say, there's not loads of those left, so if you want to get one for somebody who's dear to you at Christmas, or you just want to get it for yourself because you deserve a little prize/present, then do that, redmenmerch.com. We're going to talk about the Champions League being back at Anfield first and foremost. Liverpool Wednesday evening, Ste. We've not played them since the Champions League final. In fact, we've only played them twice in our history, and they were both Champions League finals. I started the Uncensored Match build-up show with Revenge Mission. Do you think it could possibly be that?
No. It was 14 years ago. It's a long time, isn't it?
No. Yeah.
It's a long time ago. I had it then, I think. It's not. But I think for us it is a little bit, but to be honest, everyone kind of forgets 07. It's kind of like...
But my point after this, Steve, was it's not for the players, but the fans it will be.
Yeah, you say that, but again, no one really talks about 07. It's like the instant that never happened. Like, it didn't happen.
We should have won it that year.
We were better than we was a couple of years ago. It is what it is. I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of Istanbul and a lot of Athens kind of talk around it, but... Yeah, for me, no. When I think of AC Milan, I never think of 07. I just think of 05, and that's where we're at. So yeah, for me, it's not. But what I would say is that it's a big game. Like, sometimes your Champions League group stages, and with like Man United are playing this afternoon, and they're playing against Young Boys, for example. Like that could be a Europa League game. When you think of Champions League games. Why are you laughing at Young Boys? Stop it. But
I didn't say anything.
But
you looked at me
because I knew you'd be laughing.
They play at the Wankdorf as well.
I know. I can't believe that.
They love it. But like, I know AC Milan have been a bit rubbish in a few years, but they're on the way back. It looks like they're on the way back. So AC Milan v Liverpool is a proper Champions League game. Our group that we've got a tough group. So it's a big game, especially I think to get out of this group. I think like maximum points at home might be needed. I think it's going to be really tough to get much away. So I think it's a big game for Liverpool. It's a really important one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Ross, since we did the build-up show yesterday, have you have any more thoughts around the game? What you think it might be like? Have you changed your mind at all on what you think?
I read some of the comments yesterday actually, and there's a couple of people that were kind of trying to give some insight into AC Milan. There's a piece out on the website that someone did a preview had got, and there's some players that just didn't realise that they kind of had. I think Tonali's in there tomorrow. We talked about yesterday and stuff like that. So probably do better at my job, but I had no perception of who they were and what they were. I didn't really do any research on the team, but now I'm starting to get an idea of like Steve said, maybe I never thought it was going to be easy. But also, like I said to you yesterday, when I hear AC Milan, I still think of that team in the Northeast. Yeah, that's who I think they are. So there's no room for complacency. I agree with Ste, and I like what I said yesterday of 3 points in every home game for me, and it's important to get off to a good start. If you can tee yourself up to a position where you can afford to take 1 point from your away games. I think we always tend to think we can just go and win them all, but we can't. We've got a really tough group, and Porto we've got a decent record against, but I'm still not taking that as 3 points either way, because you talk about revenge tour from 14 years ago. I'm sure they want to give us a bit of payback as well. We've got a recent history with Atletico Madrid, so there's no easy games in this. I'd like to a point where when I'm going to talk about upcoming games, but to have like a Midtjylland scenario where you can. It's a dead rubber to us as fans.
Where you can play Jota when you get injured.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not over
Not that.
Don't start me.
Not that.
I knew he'd be angry.
Yeah.
I knew he'd still be angry,
It just give yourself some room for manoeuvre when you're coming up to fixtures, and you can, us as fans can be a bit more relaxed and Klopp can go, actually, well, someone's come back from an injury or international duty, or you got some, Curtis Jones or maybe Harvey Elliott's coming back from an injury at some stage there where you can get minutes and you can build your squad and prepare them for further fixtures down the line. It was the ideal scenario, wasn't it?
That's it. Steve, we've kind of backed ourselves into a corner squad-wise anyway, haven't we, I suppose, this season? We do have strength and depth in certain positions, but with Bobby being out injured now and the lack of signings in the transfer window, the front three spaces, realistically, there's not a lot of depth there. Taki was a bit of a doubt, wasn't he, at the weekend? We know Ox is probably okay, he'll be sound, he obviously came on at the weekend and stuff. Other than that, there's not much up front if you wanted to rest a Salah, a Mane or a Jota.
Yeah, no, I don't think he would anyway. Jürgen doesn't, if anything, he would rest in the league. I think he tends to hold his big guns in the Champions League and might rest one or two in the league anyway. And he hasn't done that, he hasn't really had a chance. Like I say, we should have signed a forward. I think it's a no-brainer. We didn't. We've got one injury and already you're looking at it. Well, one half injury. He doesn't fancy Origi, he can't even get on the bench. And already you're looking at it going, here we go again, we're flogging these three lads for a bit. Now is that our plan on this? Because we can't rush Bobby back, hamstrings. It takes as long as it takes. So at some point we're going to see Oxlade-Chamberlain up front. I don't know when we're going to see that. It might be Palace at home. That's when he might go for it, because that's where we're at. We shouldn't be in this position, but we are. But I'm convinced his first group game he'd go as strong as he can. I don't think he would make changes anyway. Obviously one's going to be enforced in midfield with Harvey Elliott. And I'm pretty sure that just means Jordan Henderson plays.
So when we were talking yesterday, we were thinking there's a good chance that Kostas could play. Are you not feeling that at all?
Not in the Champions League. Not first game in the Champions League. I think it's imperative he wins. Like a loss in that first game, it just sets you back. At home, it just sets you back so much. It means that you're going to have to go somewhere and you're going to have to win in Atletico or win in Milan. Probably.
And we know Atletico is going to be difficult at Anfield or away.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to change the way they play, are they?
They're not arsed. They'll be what they are, what they've always been under Simeone. So yeah, I think he goes full strength. If he makes any changes, it'll be Palace at home, 3 o'clock on a Saturday at Anfield. That's when you might see one or two, like I say, Chamberlain might get a start or whatever, or Minamino's fit and he comes back in. I think he picks the same 10 with Henderson just in for Harvey Elliott.
Do you think, Ross, that's our best midfield?
100%, yeah. We spoke about how they complement each other. I think we saw from Fabinho how good he is, and we're talking about players being underrated. I think Fabinho may have gone under the radar slightly, what he brings to the side. We picked up on his positioning of what he does, of sticking his legs out and breaking up play, but then he's allowing Thiago to do what he couldn't do last season, and not drag people to the floor and get yellow cards after 2 minutes. So yeah, I think, and then you've got the pressing Jordan Henderson, so I think each of them have got their own major strength, which just complement each other really well. Harvey Elliott was doing a really good job as well, a compliment at midfield, but I think going through the bigger games and what Liverpool do, I think that's our strongest one.
Can you see one change of maybe from Thiago or Fabinho, anybody? Because obviously it's Thiago's first start just a few days ago.
Yeah, I think the only person you can have the conversation with is probably Navigator in there. And again, this comes down to, I'm not sure how AC Milan kind of set up, if they're going to kind of, if a draw is good for them, do you need someone who can break up the play a little bit? I know Thiago can do that with his passing, but Keita's got that, drop of the shoulder, step over, cheeky little pass, he's got that creativity that we need from that midfield to kind of break teams down, but also if the space is open for him to play, then he can be successful in that as well. So I wouldn't have any arguments if he started, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard, and we're not privy to how fit they are and what levels they're at, but I think he would go the opposite way. I think he would start his team, then he'd have to take people off.
Because we've got 5 subs, of course.
Yeah. I think that's when you start thinking. That's when you see Keita comes on after an hour or whatever. I think that's more likely. And then, like I say, I think I'd be shocked actually if Keita doesn't start at Palace at home. I think he's already penciled in for that game alongside maybe Henderson and maybe Fabinho, something like that. I just think, like I say, I just can't see him. Jürgen always picks his best team in the Champions League. I remember like we had to beat Spartak Moscow. I think in the end we smashed them 7-0 or something. And there was talk like 1 or 2 refs got big games and he just picks his best team. He's done it in the qualifiers against Hoffenheim all those years ago. He just picks his best team all the time. That was the last year Fulham when he rested half his team because we had the Champions League game a few days later. I think that's what he'll always do.
I think that there's a reason. Sorry, mate. I think there's a sort of reason for that. Is I think he knows the sides in the Premier League better. So I think when you are planning for a game against a team you've not played before, a manager I don't think he's ever come up against before, from a league that you don't play teams from very often, it's easier to go, well, I know what Palace are about. I can confidently, I think, pick a side that's going to beat Crystal Palace with lads from the squad. Yeah. Whereas I think it's difficult. You want your best players because in those situations they've been there before. When the unknown's happening in a game, you want your Hendersons, you want your Fabinhos, your Virgil van Dijks to be able to play their way through the game, understand what's happening in game, so that you're not managing as much in that first half or throughout the game.
I think there'll be a little bit of rotation for Crystal Palace, but I think it'll still be relatively strong because bear in mind there's Norwich in the Carabao Cup in the midweek, the week after. I think that's when you make wholesale changes. Go strong for AC Milan, go strong for Crystal Palace, get the points on the board in both competitions, and then when you get to Norwich, just what he normally doesn't in the Carabao Cup. Not that he doesn't give a shit. He manages his squad and go, actually, Curtis Jones, you can play, James Milner, you can play, Kostas, Keita, all these people at the game time. Gomez and Konate probably in there as well. If they get 10-15 minutes in either Palace or AC Milan, we're talking about building blocks to them. I think it's teed up really nicely for us.
I think the Norwich game, if you plan the week, is the spanner in the works. Because if you want to make 1 or 2 changes for Palace, you might be asking someone to go Saturday, Tuesday who hasn't played any footy yet. So, like, for example, it's different with Shimikas because he's got games under his belt. So say Neco Williams hasn't had a kick. If you want him to play at Norwich, can you then play him at Palace as well? 2 days rest in the middle and then a trip down to the arse end of nowhere where Norwich is. That's the thing. So I think, like Ross says, I think that's a fair point, is that you might just see him go like strong, relatively strong Palace, and then 11 changes to, like, Mo Salah doesn't even get on the bus to go to Norwich, and just has
that's the other thing as well. When you talk about the right back, Steve, luckily for us, Trent didn't play in that final England game at all. Yeah. So him to then go 1-2, it's Norwich off.
It's fine.
It's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas, someone who maybe played midweek like an Andy Robertson, then going dun 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 dun, that gets a bit silly. But I think Gareth's done us a bit of a favour there by not playing Henderson and Trent Alexander-Arnold in the second game.
Is it Brentford the Sunday after that as well?
So we're going to go through all the fixtures now, so you should be able to see them on your screen now. So I've got Liverpool's over on the right hand side there. We obviously start with AC Milan. We've got Crystal Palace after that, Norwich away in the League Cup, Brentford away in the Premier League, Porto midweek tie in the Champions League away from home, and then we've got the big one from the 6 games, which is Liverpool versus Manchester City. So you can see there, I mean, AC, Palace, Norwich in the Cup, Brentford, Porto, City. For me, this 6 weeks is all building up to City, and it's how you manage that squad, isn't it, Ross? And get them in the best position, not to dismiss the other sides in any way, shape or form. You've got to put out a side that can beat each one of them, but your squad's got to be in the best possible position for City.
Yeah, and I think they will be. I think we start to see more rotation after this international break when it starts coming towards Christmas and New Year, and they start getting 3 games we get every week. But I think we're quite lucky after the City. There's another international break. I know that's, you've got to be careful in that sense as well, because you don't want your players going to international break tired and then coming back even worse than they are. But it's about getting points on the board. The title, or the table, sorry, is relatively close as it is. If you can get margins before that break for your confidence and for mentality and morale, I think it's mighty important. And like I said, the City game, even now, is huge already. So you can have 6 points on the board in the Champions League, and you're in a conversation still of being top of the table, then that's where Liverpool should be. And
I think that's why you go really strong for AC Milan, because then it gives you a little bit of manoeuvre. Porto away a few days before City. If you get beat by Milan, you probably got to pick your best team in Porto, because you can't start the group on 1 point from 2 games or 0 points. Whereas if you win like a Palace, and then you listen. A slightly changed Liverpool team isn't that weak. It's still a good team. It still can win in Porto. But if you make 1 or 2 changes and you get a draw in Porto, or even lose, not the end of the world. But if you lose to AC Milan, and then you can't do that, and then you're going strong. International break, God knows what happens. That's why I think it is a big game. Like I say, I don't think Klopp looks at it like we are. I genuinely think he is just next game. And here's who's fit, here's who we've got, here's who needs a rest. Like, he knows Norwich, no one's playing. That's boxed off. But I don't think I think he wouldn't know his Palace team now, or like what changes he would like to make.
Yeah, he's got to have to speak to the sports scientists and the physios and see how if there's, because players always pick up knocks every game. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Someone's going to have something.
I think we will, or hopefully see a Origi at some point. I mean, hopefully in the sense of helping the other 3 out. You know, because it's fine going all they can play. You know, they can play 3 games. Obviously, I think he'll play Norwich, but also, like, he never even made the bench at the weekend, which is, you know, what I wasn't very happy about. But Dan Kennedy, it was quite funny. It's like the people that are raging that he's not there will be raging if he was on the bench because they're not a fan of him. But I think you can't pay someone to not play, which was my argument for buying someone in a transfer window. But also, say the Champions League, as you mentioned before, there's loads of substitutes. If we're in a position where we're, say, 2-3-0 up, if you can buy 10-15 minutes off a Jota to give him a rest for the next game, or a Salah or a Mane, not that Salah or Mane necessarily need, or Jota, to be fair, but if he's a squad player for a reason, you've got to use him.
And that's why this AC Milan game for me is great that it's at home for this one, and the fact that I'm coupling that with the fact that you get 5 subs, because if the crowd are up for it, which I'm sure we will be, you know, being a first Champions League game back under the lights at Anfield, a big side as well in AC Milan, not some minnow from around Europe, then you can almost use that to go out hard, go out fast, and make sure we get to use all of our 5 subs, because it's on you guys. If you want to rest towards the end of this game, you get up, you get 3 goals up, and I'm going to give you 5 subs and you get half an hour off at the end of the game. Yeah. Like, that's what I'd be telling them, like, go out there, win the game, and we'll make substitutions.
Equally, those squad players, it's an opportunity for them. Like, you know, I'm sure Chamberlain wants to up his game time a little bit. Divock Origi, like, oh Christ, I don't know what's going on with it in a minute, but he can't be happy with not even making the bench. Yeah. You know, in some occasions, in fact, I think it was a game earlier on in the season where we named 2 goalkeepers, and he never even got on. So you got to some point.
Is it 12 subs for the Champions League?
Yeah,
as well?
12. He's named 5. Yeah.
Something has happened there with him. There's no way he doesn't make the bench. Like, there's no way you don't have a striker on the bench and have like 5 defenders.
We had Ox on the bench thing. Yeah. Came on in the 9.
Horrendous. He's not. Honestly, he's not a striker.
But when you've got no Bobby and no Taki, and he's still not getting on, that's what I'm
saying. Something's happened. Like, there's no way he doesn't get on the bench. Why do you need all those defenders on the bench and not him? It again, something's happened. I don't know what it is.
Do you fancy Matip in the false 9?
Honestly, I just fancy Matip. but yeah, you know what I mean. Like, so I'm with you. Like, if he doesn't make the bench for this game, like, something's definitely not right. I wonder, like, trying to force him out, he wants to go or something. But for him not to get on the bench, and listen, he is who he is. He's not brilliant, but like you say, we didn't have a striker on Liverpool Football Club. Did not have a striker on to bring on the other day. That just can't happen. It's our own fault, or whoever's fault. Manager, Edwards, or FSC, whoever's decided not to buy a forward, or the combination of the 3. But yeah, like, whatever you think of him, he has to be. You can't ask Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to be your replacement for 3 lads up front at once. It's baffling. Like, I can't. Yeah,
those concerns are eased if Origi's there and he's having an impact on the pitch. And, like, you know, we're not all questioning. We all wanted a forward. We all wanted a midfielder. You know, I think everyone in the fan base wanted it. But now I'm getting concerned, like you said, going into a Premier League game. Okay, we won it comfortably without a recognised striker on the bench. Can you do that between now and Christmas? Like, I'm sure it'll be resolved. Because my argument was, well, we need to sell Shaqiri Origi for the non-homegrown quota. Then I think we'll buy someone. We sold Shaqiri, and then Origi's not even making the bench. And we're paying someone.
And we didn't fill the 25 spots anyway.
Yeah, but then my argument was, well, Liverpool won't pay someone to someone they can't register and pay him a wage. They're effectively doing that now by not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Only the fullness of time will be able to tell us what's happening with Origi. And I think Steve's right. If he's not on the bench for this one, then there's serious questions to be sort of asked. I did sort of put together a second 11 because I want to talk about the Premier League and the League Cup and the Champions League fixtures for all of the sort of top 4, as it probably is now. Maybe I'm being a bit of a disservice to Leicester. They seem to spend 99% of every season in the top 4, just not on the day that it matters. Sorry about that, lads. Kelleher would start in goal. Nico Williams, Joe Gomez, Kanati, Shimakash, Jimmy Milner, Ox Keita, Minamino, Ox and Origi. And I think up until
Put Curtis Jones in there.
And yeah, you could put Curtis Jones in there as well.
If everyone's fit?
Yeah, if everybody's fit.
Firmino or Jota need to be in your front three, really.
But I consider them as first teamers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at a purely sort of backups here. So Kurt Jones is certainly one. Nat Phillips, Kate Gordon, Conor Bradley, Owen Beck potentially as the fullbacks, which actually might sort out the right back problem if Trent wasn't able to go again. You know, you could maybe bring Conor Bradley in for a game if Nico starts at Crystal Palace, etc., etc. But I don't think it's bad up until the front three positions. I think when you look at it and you go, all right, three from Milner, Ox, Keita and Kurt Jones is really good.
It's one midfield for large parts of the last season.
Did it start the first game of the season?
Pretty much, yeah.
Ox and Keita did, didn't they? Who was with them? Milner, there you go. Okay, so right, we won a Premier League game with that midfield three. I've got no qualms really or problems with the back five. I mean, Nico had a bit of an up and down season, but I think he's all right. It's Minamino, Ox and Origi as the backup right now. They're the three positions that I think everybody's a bit like, oh.
Everyone's one too high. So Minamino should be fifth option.
And I've got him on the right, by the way, which I'm not sure is his position.
Either way, like the front four are the front four, and then there should be another someone, and then it's Minamino and Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think that's where we're missing. Or you sign the superstar and everyone moves down one. Whatever it is, I think Minamino being 5 is 1-2. He should be number 6 on that ranking. I'm not convinced by him. I'm just not. Hopefully, again, he proves me wrong. And to be fair to him, every time he's played Premier League football, he's done all right for us. Yeah. He wasn't great at Southampton. He just looks off it. But like I say, players can develop and get better, and a year of being around the pool every game might do him favours. I'm pretty sure the only reason he went out on loan last year was so that we could go and get Kabak in. Again, this homegrown thing, and we were struggling at centre half, and we had to do something. We are where we are. Like I say, we are where we are. There's nothing going over it. The midfield, like I never get the squad depth issue with Liverpool. I think people look at it and go, "Oh my God, you're knackered." It is literally up front, and it's one fella. I think we're one short up front. I think we can cope with centre. I mean, we've got 4 centre halves. And Nat Phillips is a very good fifth option. Right back, I think, is a worry. I'm not sure about Nico Williams just yet. Shimaka's has proved himself.
I'd rather have Nico than a right back in the
Klein, like a Klein.
Yeah, like a Klein right back. I think he's absolutely serviceable because your team doesn't change too much. You just go a little bit more down the left-hand side than you do the right.
He falls short of Trent's success, doesn't he? Because everyone points to Trent and goes and wanting to be him, forget that, you know...
If he was a young lad coming through without Trent ahead of him, that's your point,
isn't it? Exactly. And he can get better. And, you know, you look at the way that we kind of used to play, and Klein's a good example of that, but I think he's better than John Flanagan than he was. And he nearly won a fucking title with us in, 13, 14. He was good, so... I think we tend to forget, like Steve says, their players can get better, but also when you're trying to break into this Liverpool side of the past 2-3 years, like Nico's tried to do, the standard wasn't what it was when Trent broke into the side. It's phenomenal. You've got to be at your best, world class, or world class to try and beat Trent, but your standard is through the roof. So then your mistakes are then exposed because we've played so well over the past 4 or 5 years. So I think he gets an unfair amount of stick.
Nico would have ousted Nathaniel Klein if Trent never came through at right back.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think, again, the squad depth issue for me, I think it's nonsense to an extent. I think it's literally 1, maybe. I thought it was 2 because midfield.
But Harvey Elliott
boxed off, and you can't legislate for what happened. Like, you can legislate that you're going to lose 1, and we've still got 6 left. So, like, how many do you need? You can't have like 20 midfielders like knocking around the place just doing nothing, just being Divock Origi in the stands. You just can't have that. So I get that bit. We are up front is the one where you think you probably like Minamino shouldn't be where he is in the ranking. I always think, and again, but then that's up to him to be better, and it's up to Origi to be better. Like, there's a reason you're not getting picked. There's obviously something that you're doing. You're either crap or you're not applying yourself.
And I think in Jürgen's defence here, Bobby's normally and Mane and Salah, such fucking words, are pretty much bulletproof for the most part. I know Firmino's out at the moment, like, but you just rotating one of them every week, you're probably fine. So the idea that you need 6 for those, the idea you need 6 for those 3 is a bit of a fallacy as well, because you probably need 5.
Yeah.
4 are a minimum, 5's you're probably your sweet spot, isn't it, where you can make a couple of changes and throw someone in for just the odd game.
It all boxes itself off
Yeah.
if Minamino's good.
Yeah.
If Minamino comes in and is good, then it's fine.
But I think the same applies to midfield, because I agree with you on paper, and you can look at the numbers and the positions and the quality of player. But I think the concerns are
Injury.
Yeah, exactly. Keita, Ox, a 36-year-old James Milner, who he's rarely injured, to be fair to him, but it's the quality and the drop off from people think that if we lose Henderson, Thiago's Henderson's injury record isn't the best either. When the games are building up and they go away in international duty and then they come back injured, what position does that leave us in? But I think a lot of people tend to forget that other teams get injuries as well, and the same can equally happen to them. So I think there's a lot of hangover from last season going on, and people just fearing the worst and needing that security of,
Just play Joel Matip centre mid.
There you go.
Nat Phillips.
He never gets injured.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, listen, let's look at some of these fixtures then for the other sides, because it's kind of all hand in hand at the moment, isn't it? I mean, let's start with Chelsea's fixtures. They've got Zenit St. Petersburg at home. Spurs away is a tough game, maybe. Villa. Obviously Villa had a good weekend.
That's in the cup, isn't it?
In the cup, yeah. They've just played them, haven't they, in the league? They've then got City, Juve, and Southampton. That's a reasonably tough. I mean, Spurs and City,
And
Juve, because it's away from home. That's a tough run there for Chelsea, isn't it? I mean, they'll be looking at it, and I'm looking at Liverpool's 6 fixtures, and thinking, I think we can get maximum points pretty much from that. I mean, the City one's the coin flip, as it were. But Chelsea will be looking at going, we need to kind of keep pace here. Now they've got a brilliant squad. I think they do probably rotate a little bit for the Champions League tie against Zenit, which leaves them in a good position for Spurs at the weekend, Steve.
Yeah, the fact that Spurs looked absolutely diabolical, but that helps them as well. Spurs were absolutely dreadful.
I mean, the red card did.
At Chelsea at home, sorry, or the away?
Tonight, or yeah. I don't know whether they're Tuesday or Wednesday, to be honest, but they're at home.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you look ominous, Chelsea? Chelsea looks
That's
scary.
a good word. That's the word that Gary Neville used last night.
Did he?
He said ominous.
Did he? Oh,
yeah.
I don't like to say the same as Gary Neville. Didn't see that. Scary. Chelsea looked strong and really good. And like I say, the depth is there.
Ominous was better.
Hey, but I don't want to be Gary Neville.
No.
Or accused of copying Gary Neville. Okay, I'll stick with ominous. The issue is, again... So
you do you.
I'll be me. I'll be Ste.
Did you watch Monday Night Football?
I watched some of it, yeah. I did. Lukaku's the key for them. They haven't got.
You said that as well.
They haven't got a striker. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it? Like the issue that they had last year was they couldn't score goals. They didn't score again. I say issue. They fucking won the Champions League. Like it wasn't an issue, but you get he's the key for them. Like they don't trust Werner up front anymore, do they? And they're not. They sold Tammy Abraham and stuff. So that's the key for them. Like, how do you get him enough game time without flogging him into the ground? But their squad is really strong. Again, there's areas where it's not amazing. Like they're not.
Depends.
Yeah, but they haven't got amazing backup fullbacks really.
I don't even think their fullbacks are that good. I mean, I like Chilwell more than Alonso, and Alonso's the one getting games. I always just think Alonso's a liability, but he scores incredible goals all the time to prove you wrong.
The manager likes him, doesn't he? And then even the centre halves. I don't know. Like I actually
Rudiger's improved.
I think Rudiger's really good.
Christensen's
playing there, Christensen. So our options there aren't as different to theirs. Midfield, they've got tons of options. I get that.
But Salah didn't look great at the
got hooked at half-time.
Yeah,
he did. So
it was like one of the worst debuts.
He was crap. But then, Kante's to come back and he's amazing. And they got
I like Kovacic.
Jovic. There's enough in there for them to do well. Again, and they've got good options wide. Ziyech doesn't really get mentioned, and Pulisic and Werner and Hudson-Odoi played in the other day, and people kind of forget about him. So yeah, Chelsea look really strong, and they've got a squad that can rotate. And under Mourinho, Chelsea used to go strong in the Carling Cup or the League Cup as it was as well. He used to pick up quite a lot. He used to really fancy winning that.
He saw the benefit when all the other managers didn't of winning a trophy. And even Kenny, like the drop-off when we won that League Cup, and was it 2012 or whatever it was big, but Mourinho's side seemed to get something from those victories, don't they?
So I wonder how Tuchel will apply and goes for that. Like I said, you're not at Chelsea for a long time, you're there for a good time, aren't you? Go with what you can now, because he's going to sack you as soon as the day it goes wrong, you're gone. So you might be going to haul the medals in while you can. I think Chelsea, they are much improved. They've got a way better manager than they started last season with. Like, it's chalk and cheese. Lampard was just dreadful. And Thomas Tuchel has really come on as a good coach. And they went and signed a guy who guarantees you 25 goals. So of course they're going to be great. And like I say, I think at the moment they look better than anyone. I know like Man United are the top on goal difference, and we've been good. Chelsea, I think, have been probably they look the strongest.
I mean, we're the only team to score against them, just like they're the only team to score against us. City have only conceded 1 goal, I think, as well.
Aston Villa should have scored 3 or 4 goals against Chelsea. Though,
yeah, to be fair, yeah, you're right. Actually, to be fair, the goalie kept him in, but like, right, they signed a goalie. Yeah. Like, that's what they needed to do. Well, when they signed the last one and realised they had no hands, this is what they should have done. At some point, they had to go and do it again. The luxury they've got is they can go and break the world record for a goalie and then just jib him on the bench, because that's the world they live in. I think Chelsea will be confident. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they won all those games. It wouldn't be a massive surprise if they did.
I think you talk about winning the League Cup under Mourinho and the mentality that I suppose it brought to those sides and winning something, and that brings team unity. Chelsea have just done it with the Champions League. I think that's massive for them, and particularly like you said, the first half of the season wasn't great because Frank was out of his depth, wasn't he? Really, for Tuchel to come in, bring something. I think what we all first saw when he came in was the defence of going. They weren't scoring loads of goals, but they did win 1-0 here and there, as they did in the Champions League final. For those players to come in and go, actually, well, we're all in it together. We're all, we've just won the Champions League. What that does for their mentality and what they think they're capable of, as well as adding new players. They've also got healthy competition for places. Like, you never even mentioned Mason Mount or Havertz when you were listing off a load of players. I think their squad depth and their quality is why some Liverpool fans are fearful that we haven't done enough. When you compare the two sides side to side and the quality that they've kind of got and what they're bringing on. So yeah, I do fear Chelsea. I think they've got a great side, but the pressure's on them.
Yeah, ominous. Manchester City's fixtures then. It's tough, to be fair. I mean, they got lucky again with the League Cup draw, but I think they needed to get lucky with the League Cup draw this time around, because they've got RB Leipzig at home, Southampton at home, then it's Wickham, then Chelsea away, PSG away, Liverpool Football Club away. I mean, they've got the squad to deal with it, but that is a hard run of fixtures.
But it also falls quite nicely for us, because I'd rather be at the end of that run than after Wickham, where we just rest a load of players. They've got the squad depth to manage with that, but they've got to want to beat Chelsea, because obviously they're going for the title. PSG's a massive game. It's the clash of the oil money, really, isn't it? It's a huge game, so it depends what
my dad's got more money than your dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's what, I don't think Sky will bill it like that, but they should.
Tom BT for a start.
But I think that'd be really interesting, and see how they manage that and what state they're in for Liverpool. We were talking before about how Liverpool are in the best position for that Man City game, but it's the same for them, and they got 2 of the hardest fixtures in the whole season just before they play Liverpool. It's good for us.
It's the 3 away games there, isn't it, Steve? I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, listen, that's as tough as you'll ever get.
Yeah.
Chelsea away, PSG away, Liverpool away.
Maybe the 3. Well, could that be the 4, including City, best sides of Europe at the moment?
Possibly, yeah. There's certainly.
So they're playing 3 of the top.
Yeah. I mean, of all the games they're going to play this season, again, we don't know how they're going to go in Europe if they get through and stuff. But in terms of right now, in terms of the groups and stuff, that's probably how hard it's going to get. It's only really United the way that you'll throw into that mix as well has been a really tough one for them. That's hard. Like the good thing is, like those 3 home games, they'll just win 5-0 probably, because that's what they do at
Leipzig
home.
Even? Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Why not? Man City at home, I just banked them for a 5-0, and I'm pleasantly surprised if it's anything worse. But then to go to Chelsea, go to Paris, come to Liverpool in the space of that short amount of time, I mean, that'll test any squad. City have got the depth in most areas. They probably haven't got it up front, but they've got it in most places.
It's the mentality for Man City which I think is the question, because they lose to Chelsea and they lose to PSG. What state are they in? And come to Liverpool.
Oh, imagine if they went through a 6 games crisis like us.
But coming to Liverpool, because they beat us last year, didn't they? Put it like Anfield at a full house.
We gave everyone a win last year.
Yeah,
but Anfield a full sense of security for this year.
The Reds go at Anfield when it's full. And I'm up for a bit of that as well. But if they come in and they've not got the results they wanted from Chelsea and PSG, what state are they coming to Anfield in? And can we capitalise on that?
Their record at Anfield with fans isn't great. Like and they haven't. Not only is the record, they haven't played that well. They had the game where we drew 1-1, didn't they?
Mahrez missed the pen, didn't he?
The 0-0 as well, where they were all right, but it wasn't. That was very early in the season, wasn't it? And I think both sides just were happy.
Just to play devil's advocate here, I think every time they've played us over the last 2 seasons, they've done much better than the 2 seasons previous.
They've killed us.
And they've made it very, very hard for us. And I think Guardiola knows how he wants to set up against Klopp, and I don't think yet that Klopp has changed how he plays against Guardiola like Guardiola did.
And they made a show of us last year. And they made a show of us in that game after we won the league as well. Obviously, there was extenuating circumstances to all 3 of those games, but yeah, they played us off the park at our ground as well. It was the score flattered us, and then they battered us.
They've just been pushing us to the wings,
and
not letting any midfielders get the ball, and they've been just attacking us in a slightly different way. And I just think that Guardiola knows now, and I'm just waiting for Klopp to change how he plays.
And again, the emotion of Anfield is a factor because they've always had probably a better team, at least a better squad than us, and it's always played into us. So like I say, we want them to be coming into Anfield tired, under pressure on the back of a few defeats, a few heads down, maybe a couple of yellow cards, injuries, whatever in there as well. I'm not wishing on injuries on people, but in the same kind of am as well. And
in the nicest possible way.
In the nicest possible way. Not like a serious one, just like a little sore toe or something. Rules you out for a week. I don't know. Rule Diaz out for a week or something. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, who knows where you're going to be in those? That's the thing. When you plan so far ahead, think when Liverpool before the centre-back crisis, and then 6 games later, and we had no defenders. Like you couldn't imagine that happening to anyone. And that's the thing when you try and plan too far ahead. The good thing with City is like they have got the depth at centre-half to an extent, but they're only an injury or 2 away from Nathan Ake. And my mates who are City fans think he's dreadful. And you're literally 1 or 2 away from it. You never
I think
know.
Most football fans agree with him.
Yeah, Nathan Ake's mad, isn't he? Even the biggest fan. But you're not that far away, and that's the thing. If things with that run, that's intense. That's an intense few games. There's no put your foot on the ball and beat like Cheltenham 5-0 at home. Once that Wickham game's gone, it's full pelt.
And as Ross says, and I think quite rightly, if Chelsea get a result, what does that do to them heading into PSG, heading into Liverpool as well? So let's move on then to
even the rest of the season, because they've already got what did they lose the first game of the season?
Spurs,
they lost to Spurs, lose to Chelsea, and then a gap starts then, doesn't it?
Yeah,
which I'm sure because they go on a 20-game unbeaten run.
That's the thing. They're the team that can do that. Yeah. Chelsea haven't proved to me they can do that yet.
Yeah,
City have every season.
Liverpool are on 14, by the way.
I know. Well, and like, what is it? 1-11, drawn 3. I mean, our defence is back as well. That Havertz goal's unbelievable.
Do you think he meant that? I haven't spoken to him about that.
I do, and the reason why is, and I'm sorry for repeating myself from a final word. I used to play the near post in 11-a-side, and you head the ball like that near post if you're trying to flick it on, and he doesn't. He heads it like that. That's the only because you do. You as soon as you turn your head, you're hitting it towards goal.
Yeah,
you're flicking it on. You're hitting your head straight the ball straight over.
Yeah, so even whether he did or not, we've conceded 1 goal this season, and it was from a set piece,
and it was brilliant.
And it was a really good.
And Robbo was slightly out of position compared to where he normally.
And our goalie's had to make a couple of good saves. He has. We can't deny that. But that's what he's there for. Like, you know, what I mean, that's his job.
You don't not concede shots.
Yeah, at some point he's gonna have to make a couple of saves. Like.
But that's the whole point of the highlight.
Same as Chelsea.
It means we can go on and score 9 goals and only concede 1 because we're playing a high line. We're further up the pitch, so you do concede those chances, but you've got a goalkeeper there to stop them. When we won the league, we were conceding chances. Yeah. Everyone was whinging about it at the start of the season until they realised we won about 20 odd games without getting beat or drawing.
The big fella in goal is pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty sound. Let's talk about Manchester United then. They've obviously got their favourites this evening away from home, Young Boys. Then they've got West Ham versus Manchester United. Then in the Cup, it's reversed. It's United at home versus West Ham. Then they've got Villa at home, Villarreal at home, and then Everton at home. So they got kind of lucky there with the
4 home games.
4 home games on the bounce, but a League Cup game's in there, of course, which was done on a draw. Of all the teams, I think they're the most confident of walking away with absolute maximum points from every game.
Yeah, I think so. Antonio being out for West Ham, that silly red card is massive. That's massive because
he's their goals.
He's there, yeah. So that's good for United. You wouldn't be shocked if United won. Again, I know Villarreal won the Europa League final. Man United are better than they were then, and that was even a close game. Everton just will get beat at Old Trafford. They just bend over and get tickled.
But then they're playing a different style of footy.
I know they are, yeah, and Rafa's done really well, but it's just in my head is that United we're going to beat Everton at home, and they should beat Young Boys, and then West Ham in the cup. You'd think if Moyes, see what Moyes should do is win that cup. He should put his best team out and win that cup. Why not? But he probably won't. Managers don't want to do that.
I don't think he likes silverware.
It's not for you. You don't need trophies to be a winner. He's the winner. that whole thing. He's the winner, the real man's winner. But no, that's what he should do, whether he does or not. But yeah, I would expect Man United to come away from that with 6 wins, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and that's it. Ross, anything there where you're thinking... I mean, Villarreal did, to be fair, beat them in the Europa League final, didn't they, last season?
Their little revenge tour there, isn't it? And yeah. Moreno's get out meme will be doing the rounds for that one. To be honest, I said this on the round league yesterday. I think the Ronaldo thing... There's a massive debate whether he's the player that he wasn't and whatever else, but I think he brings something to Manchester United, which is
goals.
Well, no, goals, but it's the mentality and what I think Manchester United lacked in the motivation of being first in training, last out. He's the ultimate professional, and I think he's a winner, and I think he's a leader, which I don't think they've got in the manager. Now, we might have done very well with the amount of money that they've spent, and Man United have improved year on year, but I think he brings that extra bit with the Man United have been lacking, and certainly in Europe, because they went out in the group stage of the Champions League last season, didn't they? So they're probably going to right that wrong. They got a decent draw in the cup, so the pressure on Ali to win trophies because they bought Rafa, Varane, Sancho, and Ronaldo. And I think they've got decent depth in places as well.
Yeah, and look, I know everyone thinks it's funny to have a go at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. My point is he's improved them every year, and good managers do that. Bad managers don't do that. And bad managers make the wrong signings, and I don't think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made the wrong signings. I think you can point to, they need probably a midfielder or something, and maybe Ronaldo changes what Pogba's doing in game and all that type of stuff. But I think it's really, to be honest, there's a bit of a lack of respect for what Ole's done there. I know he hasn't won trophies or anything, but he's done a good job.
I suppose
they were miles away. They were fucking miles away.
I think it's big games where he's let himself down.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. Like
look at those draws that they had last season: City, Chelsea, Liverpool.
I saw this on Monday Night Football. 11 draws.
10 draws, I think it. 10 draws, I think it was, but 6 0-0s or something, and most of them were in big games. That's why they bought Ronaldo. My thing is, I don't think Ronaldo improves their team. I think Ronaldo looks great in these 6 games. But when he comes up against Virgil van Dijk, when he comes up against Rudiger, when he comes up against Ruben Diaz, has he still got it? And I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm wondering whether he has still got it then.
The difference is, like, he's the one who will nick you that. The first goal he scored, that's what he's going to be. He's now a penalty box centre forward. He's a little bit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just in like when he was, just obviously on steroids because he's absolutely massive. But that's the thing Ronaldo will do, is that he doesn't have to do anything for 89 minutes. Like they had Cavani, to be fair, Cavani done it last year, like scored quite a few goals.
Loads.
Yeah, and so they're not miles away. I think if Varane's good, that's the big issue, because the centre halves were a problem. They need a right winger to an extent in Sancho, and I think he's brilliant, so I'm sure he'll do
Their
well.
full-backs are good. I mean, Luke Shaw's absolutely brilliant. I'd rather have Trent over the right back, of course, but he's a bloody good right back.
Yeah, Man United are strong. And like I say, what Ronaldo let you do, he just let you not worry about those home games. United drew too many games at Old Trafford. Again, it's different when I do caveat, the no fans thing is massive. Like the freak results of last season were freak results. They really were. But like Newcastle last year, I know Newcastle crap, but like at 1-1.
Newcastle could have scored a few goals in that game.
They could have, but at 1-1, for example, you never thought Newcastle were going to get something. Last year, you thought, Newcastle will get something. When just Cristiano being on the pitch, you think at some point the ball's going to fall to him again, and he's probably going to score it off it.
He's probably going to put it to his legs.
His goal record at Juve was incredible. I think he got 105 goals in 130 odd games at Juventus. There's no reason why
he's turned himself into a centre forward, and he's one of the best in the world at it, even at his age.
Yeah, a good point here from Abdullah Mohammed. I think going probably against one of my points, but it's a good point. Imagine Klopp or Guardiola managing the likes of Ronaldo, Bruno, Sancho, Rashford, Varane, etc. They'd be clear favourites. Can't disagree with that at all, to be honest with you. Yeah. Didn't say he was the best manager in the world or one of the best managers in the world, just said he was a good manager rather than a bad one, which I think a lot of people say. But no, I completely agree with you, to be fair, mate. Okay then, we've looked at Liverpool's fixtures a little bit earlier on. We've got to talk about Harvey Elliott a little bit, lads. Ross, 6 months is what I'm hearing at the moment, rumours and stuff like that. It's a massive blow for him, but he seems like he's confident on his Instagram and stuff that, you know, he's going to come back a better player.
Yeah, I can't believe his mentality. You know, he gave some kids some boots in his shirt, and he was sat there on oxygen. He was watching the rest of the game, so he was clearly in a good place. It's just weather, because I've had different variations of, like, I've had 6 to 8 weeks, I've had 3 months, it could be January, but it depends whether he's done ligament damage as well as dislocated his ankle, so we only know that once he's had the scans and it's come back. But I think, you know, the mentality, but he's got the support network that he's got at Liverpool, I think is phenomenal. But I think it's just really interesting, the fact that, and I said this on Sunday, but after it happened, the fact that everyone's gutted that he's gone, not just because of, you know, how it happened and the type of injury, the fact that in the space of 4 weeks he's had such a huge impact. Because with all respect to him, if he told me at the beginning of the season Harvey Elliott was going to be out for 3 months, I would have gone, and, you know, in the nicest possible way, you know, he's put
I think the other thing is, if you flip it and make it not about an injury and you go, he's going out for a season-long loan, you'd go, okay.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Yeah, but whereas now on Sunday that happened, we're all gutted because of the impact that he's had. The fact that Jurgen Klopp backs him, he's starting ahead of, you know, Thiago and Jordan Henderson and Naby Keita in games. That should not really be the case for an 18-year-old, but it is because he's special and he's capable of doing it. So I'm absolutely gutted for him. So yeah, but I think we've got the players to manage, hopefully.
Steve, what did you think of the tackle itself?
It's reckless. I don't think he's gone to do him. Like, for that, there was talk again, Monday Night Football, Tarkowski goes to do Richarlison. He gets the ball, but every part of him is thinking, I'm just going to whack you in the sky. And he did. And got away with it, fair enough. With the tackle, it's just it's dangerous. Like I say, there's...
Dangerous, not malicious.
Yeah, like, you don't have to hit. You don't have to be trying to do someone to be reckless. Like, you know, it was just dangerous. Like, he had no... Once you're flying through the sky, you've got no control of where you're going to land, where your trailing leg goes. It's dangerous, and, like, it could have been worse. It could have snapped his leg. I mean, it's mad that you're saying, thank God it was only a dislocation, and that's mental to say, but it could have been so much worse. It could have been like a career ender, snapping, you know, your leg goes through your shin. Digital C say Blackburn away, remember when his leg was hanging off, God forbid, like, horrendous. Like, the thing with Elliott, like, we won't know is, again, he's having surgery, I think. Has he had it, or he's due it today or something? And then, like Ross said, dislocated ankle, it might be weeks. If there was no other damage, if there's fractures, it's a bit more, and if there's ligament damage, it's more again. So who knows where we're going to get him.
The other thing is as well, I think, you know, from by all accounts, Liverpool's medical team on the day put it back in then and there before they get to the hospital, which could have saved months. Yeah. Because the longer it's out,
and
the
the
more
Leeds medical team are helping as well.
And what?
The Leeds medical team are helping out as well.
Did they? I didn't read that, but yeah, fair play. Like,
the thing with, like you say, what it does, it provides someone else an opportunity. I know it's awful to say that, but it is next player up. If you're Curtis Jones, if I'm Curtis Jones, I'm thinking, that should be me. Like, he's took
last year.
He's took my spec in this team. Not only has he got me, he's pushed me down. He started every game. Like, he started in big games. He started Chelsea, and he started Leeds. They have massive games I should be playing in. Go and prove it. Like, at some point, Curtis is going to play over these next games. My guess is he gets some minutes at Palace maybe, and he definitely plays at Norwich away. Make it your place, because what Jurgen's shown with Harvey Elliott is you just...
It's that meritocracy we
like Naby Keita, that should be your spot, but Harvey Elliott just took it off you. So now you two fight for it, because I need someone's going to have to play there. He's not been afraid to bench Jordan Henderson. He's not been afraid to bench Thiago. I don't think he'll ever bench Fabinho. I think he's like that he's nailed on. But those other specs are there for somebody. So go and play well and earn it, because there's no guarantees, because your name's, or even if you're the club captain, that you're going to play. Like, there's very few players, I think, who are nailed on to play in this team. I think Fabinho is the only midfielder who's nailed on to play all the time. Bobby's his favourite, and he benched it. He's happy to get rid of him. You know, Jota was in, wasn't he, for a while? So yeah, I get, especially Curtis Jones, this is his chance, and it's awful to say that on the back of an injury, but that's just footy. Like, that's why Trent Alexander-Arnold's Liverpool's right back now, because now Nathaniel Clyne got injured. Yeah. No, it's a reason Marcus Rashford took the world by storm when he debuted, because United had injuries. Harry Kane got in for an injury. It happens. Go and take your chance. Like, if Curtis Jones plays as well as Harvey Elliott did for 5 games, then it's his place. And when Harvey comes back, he's now fighting for it back. That's
Joe Gomez and Joe Matip are testament to that. They've had that throughout the last 3 years. If whoever gets injured, the other one steps up, and then it's hard to get them out of their spot. Yeah. Ask Joe Gomez. He's been through it. He's been the injured person as well, and he's also been the incumbent. Got a couple of super chats from earlier on, which I missed. Tom's kindly enough sent me them. Josh has sent us £5. Thank you. He was talking about other strikers like Balotelli. We've moved on from that. Why are we even still discussing Mbappe? He can't fit into our wage structure. It's a good point. He doesn't fit into our wage structure. We'd all like him to fit into our wage
not
structure.
Not currently. But if Mo Salah gets his 500 grand, then we're having a different
Well, there
conversation.
you go. And to be fair, Salah deserves whatever he wants. And that's the one thing that's sort of coming off the back of this Trig Josh Super Chat. It baffles me a little touch because, you know, I know Liverpool got a set wage structure, but like Mo Salah, man, he could do it for another 5 years. Because we're seeing players do it for another 5 years now at 30 years old.
Of all the things to criticise FSG for, and transfers, and I get a lot of people do, and I get it, and some of us, they pay big wages. We're one of the biggest spenders in the world in terms of wage bill. Like, we spend very, very big wages.
It's us in City, isn't it? And I think it was us last season had more wages.
Yeah, we're one of the biggest spenders in Europe. We do reward players. We give Mo Salah a contract after a year, a new one, and bumped his wage right up because they realised how big he was and how good he was, and they've done it with everyone.
I think his last contract was something like 52 million over 5 years. I mean, it's not a small change, by the way.
Yeah. Trent Arnold was 3 years left or something meant, and he was
on like 60 grand.
And he boosted him up to one of the highest ends. Liverpool will pay wages, I've got no doubt. If Liverpool think a player's worth the money, they'll pay him.
It's just that they did sort of say this is the structure of it, and you've got to. If you've got a finite sum of money, you need to be able to go, well, we can't spend more than this.
Yeah. The flip side is like...
And we know we do it, on incentives as well.
The flip side is it's a lesser to evil. So if you sell Mo Salah, you've got to buy someone to replace Mo Salah, who's as good as Mo Salah. That's hard. Whoever he costs is going to cost you X amount of transfer fee. Kylian Mbappe, for example. I know he's on a free. He won't be free. There'll be hundreds of millions of agents' fees and sign-on bonuses. And then you're probably going to have to give him the money that you were going to give Mo Salah anyway. So you're worse off. At some point... FSG will have to look at it and go, unless we're significantly going to downgrade that position, we have to pay.
I look at it, it's a simple sum for me, right? You're looking at, let's say he's on currently, 10 million a year. Let's say you double his wages, you put him on 20 million, you completely blow everything out, wage structure-wise, and you pay him over 5 years, 20 million, you've paid him 100 million. Well, you need 100 million to just buy a player without wages,
and then you got to pay him as well.
And then you got to pay him as well, just to stay the same. You know what I mean?
I think Liverpool, if Liverpool could get Kylian Mbappe on a free transfer and had to pay him that money, I'm convinced they would. I think they would pay that wage. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to Spain. We all know that, but I think they would pay the wage. I think they're happy to pay the wage. I think the problem comes when it's the transfer fee and the huge wage. I think that's where things get tight for us. We would never do that. I don't think Liverpool
will do both.
I think, but I also think there's a knock-on effect of potential transfer fees, plays after that, and then going, well, your top earner is such and such, he's on whatever. I want 400 grand a week, or people that are in the club. Yeah, and we're going to have to prepare for that. So, if
you need to give us 5 years service before you get into bracket A.
But again, if Mo Salah gets that, and then in a year's time, Virgil van Dijk's back to his best as it looks like already. Fabinho's there, and then going, well, actually, you're going to have to put way up.
What I would say, one problem at a fucking time. The biggest problem right now is Salah.
And the flip side is Liverpool. I don't know if it's been by intention or just by the fact that it's been a difficult deal. Leaving Mo Salah till last was really clever because you can make him the highest paid player, and then the next person who comes in, fair play. But like that is what it is. You can't be a super club and not pay transfer fees and not pay wages. That's just not going to happen. You're gonna have to. You should have to do two. We're probably going to do 1.5. There's no way they can just say, right, our limit is 250 grand a week. Well, you're not going to have the best players. The best players are going to be down the road in Manchester or in London or in Paris or in Madrid. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Mo Salah will get that money. If Mo Salah left Liverpool tomorrow, he'd be on 500 grand a week in 10 teams would probably pay him that. So Liverpool that's what he's worth. Whatever it is, he's going to have to get it.
Absolutely. We had one from Gareth Baird for 10 quid, mate. Thank you so much. Hey lads, sorry this isn't on topic, but I need help on how to get tickets to Anfield this season. Looking to take my dad for his 50th. How do I get them if anyone knows? Depending on when your dad's 50th is, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for you because you need to have a membership and you need to get on people's friends and families because the likelihood is you're not going to get one from a sale at this point. So you need to try and find somebody and get on somebody's friends and family who can get access to a ticket. Other than that, I'd hazard a guess, and I don't know this because we don't buy tickets this way. There's probably corporates available for some of these games, but you need to get in as early as you possibly can, mate. And hopefully that helps. And save up. Ross is absolutely right. Start saving now. Start saving yesterday. Don't give us any more super chats, mate. You need to save up your money.
Depends how much you love your dad.
Yeah.
If you love him, you'll take him to corporate.
Josh had another one. We should have got Suarez back just for the Norwich games. He fucking loves Norwich. I can get behind that. And also, he wouldn't be playing for Atletico when we play them. But yeah, also, that time's done. Connor S. The squad depths. I'm going to go with depths, not depths. The squad depths fear comes from worrying we'll lose all three at the same time. Can't legislate for that. You're absolutely spot on. Josh, again, yeah, we dropped 2 points against Chelsea, but they dropped 2 points against us. May turn out well, yeah, good point, well presented. Sketch is coming. It's obviously not a positive what happened to Elliott, and I hope he has a quick recovery, but at least Thiago's going to start more games now, right? I thought Thiago Ross was going to start more anyway. I think this was all just... throughout the Euros, they were nursing an injury, couldn't sprint, and I just think they were just taking the time.
Using the squad, isn't it? That's what it's there for. But are you talking about opportunities before? Great. Klopp obviously had the confidence, and Elliott had the confidence in himself that he could produce in those big games. I think it was all a bit of a surprise to us. But again, with an injury, if you've got someone who's capable of taking that slot, there's no pressure on you to start Thiago. So he's just managing the squad, and that's what it's there for. Probably same with Naby Keita. Or Keita and Ox last season. We're led to believe that they were fit for most of the back end of last season, but it's gone. I don't need you. We're fine without you. We'll start to use him when we can. I don't think Klopp's got an opportunity. I don't think Thiago's got an opportunity. I think Thiago's going to play anyway. Like, Thiago's in our best team. He's brilliant. Like, he's dead good at foot. He's always going to play. It was a fitness thing at the start of the season. I don't think Klopp's got any doubt about Thiago in this Liverpool team. I think the doubts came when Henderson was taken away from him and Fabinho was taken away from him. And then it was played in all three positions. Yeah, and then it was him and Gini were just getting flogged. And Richarlison nearly snapped his leg off. It didn't help either. Like, Thiago. Did he have COVID last year as well? He got COVID. He got COVID, and then like I say, Richarlison done him. Like, he did do him. That was a bad one. And it was mad. Actually, played the game, didn't he? And then walked off, and then turned out he smashed his knee to bits. He'll play a lot of games. If you pick Jürgen tomorrow, you're playing a cup final, pick your best 11, like Thiago. It's Fabinho and Henderson, Thiago. That's the midfield three. It's got to be. Likely, yeah. And you'd guess you could pick the front three and the back five as well right now, because Matip ain't moving anywhere for anybody. So yeah, he's going is that way with the ball all the time, shouting Nino. Which was somebody's comments on the build-up show yesterday. That's how they imagine him running forward, which I kind of like as well. Just big shout out to Dan LaRoche, who says, "Give me a birthday shout out, Payjack." Here's your birthday shout out, Dan. You're very welcome. And Gareth Baird, after the super chat, he's also a member of the channel. He was 50 last year, but fans weren't allowed. Okay, well, you've got as much time as you want then. 60th, aim for his 60th, mate, and you might be able to get into corporate at Liverpool. And in the big new stand for New Stand LFC, or Big Stand LFC, whatever they have it call them now. I have no idea, to be perfectly honest with you. But that is the podcast for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Before you go though, do check out. We've only got 40 copies of our Jordan Henderson DVD left. There are no plans to get another run of these DVDs. So if you'd like a lovely Jordan Henderson docu-series on DVD, it's the one we've been banging on about for months. Gareth's dad like absolute that. Whose? His dad. That's a nice 50th present, isn't it? The DVD, yeah. That's a great point. Buy all 40. Your dad, buy a DVD for every year. We'll find 10 for you somewhere. One for every year. Do it. Do it now, Gareth. What are you still doing here? You may have already bought one. Buy another 39. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Ste. Thank you, Ross, for this one. Really enjoyed the podcast this morning. We'll be back, of course, for Team News Wednesday night, and I'll be back later this afternoon for the Start 11 prediction. So see you all there. Ta-ra.
So this is John Henderson's documentary, right? So we have to say the truth, huh? So let me say it like this.
Football was his life, ever from being 5-6-year-old.
I'd say it's just an absolutely fantastic story.
At a club where to actually be remembered as one of the greats, the bar is unbelievably high. He's going to be in that list.
I think his career is a story of willpower, really.
He's had a career unlike most Liverpool players, really.
Instrumental. Influential.
As a footballer, there's not got any questions to be answered.
When I first went and trained with him, he blew me away how good he was technically.
Well, he's a top-class player, no doubt about that.
He walks into a room, he walks into a dressing room, he gets on a plane, he gets on a bus, he's a leader.
He is the big player that's come from Sunderland. A lot of happy memories, pride.
But I honestly knew he would be a success.
He's a very humble guy.
even in the most difficult moments, always positive, always behind the team.
An incredible person, selfless, great company, good to be around, a wonderful man and a wonderful player, and he deserves all the plaudits he gets.
Somebody who's always prepared to do what's the right thing for the team.
He's my captain.
It was fantastic to be able to share the picture of him.
He's one of the best teammates that you can have around.
We're blessed to have Jordan, not just as a player, like I said, but as a person.
Totally proud and vindicated in the way he's turned out.
He will be forever known as an iconic name in Liverpool's history.
Of course, I'm proud of what he's achieved, but I'm probably more proud of the way he's turned out.
I had to hold the tears back at certain points.
A great player and an even better man.